Hey everyone, I'm Cody Harmon, and today we're going to be checking out some guitar fundamentals. So as you begin your guitar journey, one of the things you'll probably notice is that you've either been given guitar materials or you've found them online. And these materials are supposed to help you in your practice and on your guitar journey, but first you need to understand what exactly they're trying to tell you how to do. So I'm going to go through some of the more common formats that you're going to see with these materials and tell you how to read them, and hopefully that will get you started on your journey. So the ones I'm going to cover today is we have our scale charts, we have our chord charts, and then we also have tablature. So our scale charts, if we look at this one right here, this has 6 strings on it, and I'm going to use a guitar for reference, also has 6 strings. And one of the things that's nice about reading this is the lowest string on this chart corresponds to the lowest sounding string on our guitar, and the highest string on the chart is the highest sounding string on the guitar. And obviously the ones in between line up like that. But if you ever forget which way that you're supposed to be reading this, you can always just remember that the highest string is the highest sounding string. So if you hear the higher pitch, you know that's the top string and that's the bottom string. So you can always get yourself oriented that way. Now, what these dots are telling you is they tell you where this scale actually is on the neck. So if we go to this, if we go to the very bottom string and we count, we go 1, 2, 3. This is the 3rd fret, and we have a dot right here on the lowest string on the 3rd fret. So that tells us on the lowest string on the 3rd fret that we have a note that we can play there. And then it tells us the next note that we can play is on the 5th fret, and then the 7th fret. And then it also tells us that there's another note that we can play on the next string over, again, on the 3rd fret. So the way that these scales are lined up corresponds with the way our guitars sound. So the highest note, or the highest string on the chart, corresponds to the highest sounding string, which is also consistent with how the strings are numbered. So we have them, going from the highest sounding string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all these things, if you kind of remember that, they all kind of line up. So the highest sounding string is on top, the lowest sounding string is on the bottom, and you kind of count that way as well. You kind of work your way down through the strings in terms of pitch. So that's how you're going to look at these scale charts as you look through them. And then the next one we're going to look at are chord charts. So the chord chart is oriented a little bit differently. So this one is actually like you're looking at the guitar neck straight on. So in this one, the leftmost string, and this is assuming we're talking about a normal right-handed guitar. I'm sorry, lefties, you'll have to kind of reverse stuff in your head. But if you're looking at a normal right-handed guitar, it's basically the same as looking at this chord chart. The leftmost string corresponds to the leftmost string, which is the lowest string, and then the rightmost string corresponds to the highest string. And I'm going to go through one of these chords real quick, and then I'm also going to show you how that chord looks like when it's outlined in tablature. So I'm going to look at this G chord, and now there is a lot more information on this than there was on this other chart. We've got these numbers on the bottom. And what this number tells us is, in addition to telling us what note we can play in this chord, it'll tell us which finger we should be using. So we have our fingers numbered: index 1, middle 2, ring finger 3, pinky 4. And this tells us we're going to take our second finger, our middle finger, and we're going to place it on the 1, 2, 3, 3rd fret on that lowest string. And then next, we're going to take our first finger and we're going to put it on our 1, 2, 2nd fret. And then finally, we're going to take, shouldn't say finally yet, we got 3 more strings in between here. So we have 3 strings right here that all have zeros on them. And all that means is that is an open string. You do not need to do anything. You just let those strings ring out as they are. And then finally, we get to the last string, which has the 3 underneath, which means we're going to take our ring finger and we're going to put that on the 1, 2, 3rd fret. So that tells us exactly which fingers we're going to be using and where to put them on the neck. And like I said, for this one, you're going to be looking at this chord exactly like you're looking at the neck. And it just tells you where everything is, like you're looking directly on the neck. It visualizes it like you're looking right at. All right. Now I'm going to move over to some tablature. Now, what tablature does is a little more explicit than these charts. These charts basically tell you what you can play, because this tells you that this note is something you can play. This note is something you can play. This note is something you can play. Tablature is a little bit more explicit, and it's instructing you to play a specific thing. It's telling you to play a scale, a melody, whatever it might be. It's usually telling you exactly what fret to be playing at a given time. So now if we translate this over and we're just looking at this and we want to make this into a normal scale, and again, we'll go into scales later, how they're constructed and all that stuff. But right now, for all our intents and purposes, I'm just going to convert this into a scale. So we're going to start with this note right here at the bottom of the scale. And again, this is the lowest string on the 3rd fret. This corresponds exactly to this. This is the lowest string, and we're just saying 3rd fret. So instead of having to look at the chart and align it to the guitar to figure out what to play, this just tells us directly we are playing the 3rd fret on the lowest string. Then again, like I said, we go to the 5th fret. Now this says 5th. Then we go to the 7th fret. This says 7th. And then we move up a string. And again, this tells us again, 3, 5, 7. And we can keep moving through that. And this just gives us a very explicit instruction on how to play this particular scale on the guitar. Now, finally, the last thing I have written out here is this chord. So this is the G major chord. And as I said earlier, right here, we're putting our middle finger on the 3rd fret on the lowest string. Well, over here, we have a 3 indicated on the lowest string. Again, we have a 2 right here for this next string. So we got a 2 right there. And this tells us the next 3 strings are all open strings. So these are all open. And finally, we have the 3rd fret again there. Now, these are some of the more common formats. If you are running into materials that I'm not covered here, let me know, because I can always do an additional video where I can tell you how to interpret those exact materials. And I'm going to go further in some additional videos where I also talk about how to read music. That way you're not limited to just materials that have already been prepared for guitar. But yeah, like I said, if there's anything I didn't cover in this video that you still need help on, let me know and I can make a follow-up video. If not, I hope to see you on the next video. Have a nice day. Thank you.